Right, Chelsea Football Club are back. May 2022, Roman Abramovich leaves the football club, or should we say is forced out of the football club. And what followed was constant bad publicity, bad press from the media, and let's not beat around the bush. There were some bad times. There were some rough moments that we had to endure. There were times that as a fan base, many of us were looking to almost turn our back on the club. But a lot of us, and most of you guys watching, persevered. You stuck with it. You almost to an extent trusted the process. And last night was the culmination of that process. Donald Trump on the pitch handing Chelsea the FIFA Club World Cup trophy, which means that for the next 4 years, it is official. There is no argument. Chelsea Football Club are the best team on planet Earth. Josh Veste, did you think at any point, say when we were losing to the likes of Ipswich 2-0 and whatnot, did you think that this season would culminate in Chelsea officially being the best team on the planet?
There were so many moments of the season which we commend, Jerry, unlike you and I, might have said that Chelsea are shit and that Enzo Maresca should have been sacked. And in fact, I've seen a lot of clips, actually, from various YouTubers, not Chelsea fans, just people from outside of the football club, that said...
I'd love to call out so many.
I know. That said Enzo Maresca would be sacked by Christmas, that he was in over his depth, that he hadn't done anything serious, and that he wasn't adept to be a manager of Chelsea Football Club.
Well, do you know what the main one I heard on Enzo Maresca was? And I always draw back, right? I was walking down a road in Ventura, and it's like a ghost town, right? And these two random blokes looking, Joey, whatever. And I walked over. All right, where's whatever? And they recognised me from the podcast. So you Chelsea fans, are you? I said, no. We're Leicester fans. And this is before a ball's been kicked, yeah? This is this is during the Euros, right? This is just before the final. Before a ball's been kicked, they said, we're Leicester fans. I said, well, what about Maresca then? What's he like? They went, he's rubbish, mate. He's got no plan B. He's rubbish. He's got no plan B. He's got no plan B. Well, Enzo Maresca has done what, 3.5 seasons in football management now? Yeah. Did he even complete a whole season at that first team he was at? Before. I don't think he did. I think he was sacked. I don't think he even completed the whole season. But maybe he did. Maybe let's call it 4 seasons. 3 trophies so far. Yeah. 3 trophies. He has done 1 season at Chelsea Football Club, and he has won 2 trophies. He's reached 2 finals. It means that automatically, right, stage 378 of the Arteta project, he has already been taken over by Enzo Maresca, because Enzo Maresca has won just as much silverware in a way shorter period of time. And that lack of having a plan B, that lack of adaptability, isn't something that I've seen in these 2 cup finals, because these 2 cup finals have been 2 finals that were very, very different, actually, in my opinion. Just how good was it to watch that last night, to watch Chelsea back where we feel they belong at the summit of world football?
Do you know what the best part of it was seeing all of the watch-alongs, and I don't know if this has just become a thing in the last year or so, but hate-alongs, Jerry, have you heard about these? They've become.
I've heard of hate-alongs, yep.
They've become quite an interesting thing, and what I loved was that every other English club wanted us to fail in this tournament. They all wanted us to lose, and what was so interesting is at the start of the tournament, apparently, I don't know if you heard this, but it was a Mickey Mouse tournament that they didn't even want to be in anyway.
Yeah.
So obviously didn't mean very much to them.
No. And if in 4 years Liverpool win it, for example, you won't see them celebrate it.
No. You won't even see them celebrating making it, because they don't even want to be there in the first place. No. And the fact is, they've not talked about it at all. They haven't said, oh yeah, Chelsea being in it is a disgrace. We don't deserve to be in it. Liverpool obviously deserve to be there because they qualified and won the league. Obviously they deserve to be there. We haven't heard any of that. I'm sure there'll be a lot of logical reactions from adverse fans, and I'm sure they'll be very happy for us.
No, but before we actually get into the game and speak about the game itself, right, when you speak about negativity around this tournament, right, Michael Buffer maybe announcing the players as they walk out, prolonged cut-off periods like half-time, obviously, a little bit longer in this tournament and performances and whatnot. Like, they've gone all out, yeah? And maybe it's an indication of what we'll see in the actual World Cup next summer in America. But everything that everyone's complained about this tournament, which is a tournament of what sport, sorry?
Football.
Football.
No, you have to say in the American accent,
Soccer,
please.
since it is out in the States.
Yeah.
Has it been football-related?
No.
Have you really seen any football-related complaints? Have you seen anyone going glorified friendlies? Because actually, this shows you that. Look how he doesn't run and bust the gut. Look how this player. There's been no red cards in this tournament. No one's actually bothered getting their body stuck on the line. No one's actually bothered, getting stuck in like Luis Enrique will. And we'll speak about that later on in the episode. You
stick around for that
boy.
chat.
You cheeky little boy.
Yeah.
Listen. Everyone has been taking this tournament very, very seriously,
Mate.
right? The financial prize, that pot of gold for winning this tournament, which obviously, by the way, Chelsea have benefited from, is massive. And with, inflation in football, it's only going to get bigger and bigger as the years go on. In 4 years' time, whoever wins this, believe me, will be singing from the rooftops about it.
Could be £2 billion prize pool in 4 years' time, couldn't it?
There you go.
The fact of the matter is, you're right, Joe. The Club World Cup has been, not just because we won it, because obviously as Chelsea fans, we're going to say that it was an amazing tournament because we won it, but it's been fantastic football. We've had Brazilian teams proving that they've got the ability to muck it against European clubs. We've had some of the best European teams in the competition, desperate to be there. People that aren't there, gutted that they aren't there. So much so, mate, that they're going to have to actually enlarge the tournament. They're going to have to increase the amount of people taking part because so many teams are desperate to be part of it now. So, like, the fact of the matter is, for anyone that's been dissenting and said, I haven't watched it, I'm not that interested in it, I'm sorry to say it, mate, but they are jealous. Because if they were there, they would be soaking it up, they'd be enjoying it, they'd be seeing their team play football in the summer, which we never usually get to do. Important games that actually mean something.
Can't agree with you, mate. Can't agree with you. I think it's only Chelsea that celebrate it. I don't think that, like Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, had they actually done well in it, I don't think that any of these teams, had they been given the chance to play in this tournament and had they have won this tournament, would have even lifted the trophy.
No.
I think they'd just walk straight off the pitch, wouldn't they?
Honestly, the Arsenal fans, they would have been disgusted.
They wouldn't have celebrated beating PSG.
They would be disgusted
after
they were
we
even
lost
there.
to them in the Champions League, after I called PSG winning the Champions League the second we entered the knockout stages and Arsenal lost to PSG, they wouldn't have celebrated the chance to actually get some revenge on them, would they?
No, absolutely not.
No.
And you've never heard an Arsenal fan being ingracious or potentially not jealous at all of Chelsea.
No.
They usually are pretty chill with us, to be honest. I'm sure they're actually sending a lot of congratulatory texts this morning saying, congratulations, guys, you really deserve to win that tournament. Well on you. Good on you.
Now, before the game, I voted on a Twitter poll. Right?
Did you?
I voted on a Twitter poll. Sometimes these polls can be a little bit like, well, it's only 76 votes, you know what I mean? And someone from South London put the poll up, so obviously it's going to be 50% Chelsea or whatever. I tried to make sure that one of the ones that I voted on was one that had actually had a lot of votes, and therefore probably isn't going to be biased in one club's favour or not in terms of the allegiances of those voters. Yeah, there will be Chelsea fans that have voted, there will be PSG fans that have voted, but there's more likely on a vote like this that had 325,000 votes. So you would expect that would be more of a level playing field in terms of like no bias, wouldn't you, on 325,000 votes? 74% of that vote returned PSG as the winners before the ball was kicked. Obviously, the bookmakers had PSG as their favourites. When you look at what PSG did to Madrid, right? Offensively and defensively, stopping them scoring. When you look at what they did to Inter Milan, offensively and defensively, Atletico Madrid in this tournament, even Bayern Munich, right? Was there any part of you that feared that could happen to us? Was there any part of you that looked at the attacking prowess that they had and understood that, yes, Trevor Chalobah, Tosin Adarabioyo, Levi Colwill are all players that I would say have maybe been overperforming to the level of expectation that everyone else has on them, and performing really well, even to our expectations, although we do hold them in high esteem and we do know that they are very, very capable and very, very qualified. But at the same time as that, better backlines than Chelsea's have come up against this PSG team and have crumbled. Were you worried at all that that could happen to us, especially upon seeing the starting lineup?
Yeah, absolutely. I think PSG were rightly so the favourites, and also deserved European champions. They've played exceptionally well this season, and the manager is really smart and switched on. He's got a front three that is fluid and really, really exciting. Like, on paper, such a good team. And that's why I went into the game in a way where I wasn't nervous, in a way that I felt about other European big competitions like Champions League finals and that sort of thing. I remember the first Champions League final shitting it. So scared going to Bayern Munich in their home ground. I mean, fucking hell, how could you not be fearful in that? How good Bayern Munich were. Going to Man City and how good a Pep Guardiola Man City was. We had no chance. Like, I was nervous about that. So much so that with this game, everyone, all of the narrative, the narrative means something. The narrative was that we just didn't have a chance. I think I saw some predictions saying that it was like 30% chance of Chelsea winning it, maybe even less than that, right? Very, very low chance of Chelsea
the vote that I said, as I say, returned 74%.
There you go.
PSG. So
I saw
that's
bookies odds. Yeah. So I went into the game without any nerves really, because I think most people expected PSG to turn us over. I think every other fan out there would say that are non-Chelsea fans would have expected the same.
Well, I was hearing it all the time. I was getting, you're going to be 3-0 down within the first half hour. You're going to be 4 down at half time, this and that. And obviously, when we started the game, we started Malo Gusto at right back. I am going to say shoehorned Reece James into midfield. That doesn't mean he didn't have a good game in midfield, and it doesn't mean that it didn't open up other avenues by having him there, which we'll speak about, i.e. Cole Palmer on that right-hand side. But I'm looking at it and I'm going, okay, by putting Reece James in midfield, what you have then done is you've sacrificed an offensive player. And when I'm looking at a PSG and I'm looking at how they've attacked teams, I understand that the first chain of thought is, like you don't want to be 2-0 down within 20 minutes or something like that, because then there just is no chance for you, PSG's backline cost more than a lot of teams we faced in the Premier League in terms of their starting 11, right? In terms of how much they're valued at.
Yeah.
So we know what a threat they are. And when I saw that we had gone a little bit defensively, again, a little bit Munich-esque. If you remember that team that went at Munich,
two left backs.
Two left backs. We had Brian Bertrand on the pitch. Like, we did go defensive in that match, and we didn't offer a lot of width in that match either, right? So when I saw how he went against PSG from the starting lineup, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sure about it. In terms of personnel, in terms of the names that I'd want on the pitch, you've kind of nailed it. Argument maybe for a Liam Delap, possibly, right? But you've kind of nailed it there. But straight away, right, the way we start that game, the fluidity that I'm seeing, the 50-50 challenges that we're going into and that we're winning, the fact that we're coming out on the front foot and getting stuck in. And not only that, despite me thinking that we had lined up fairly defensively, for the first 10 minutes, mate, PSG couldn't even get a touch of the ball hardly. Like, we were electric, weren't we?
That first 10 minutes was insane. I do you know what? The first 10 minutes was almost the complete opposite of the way that I thought the game would go. I thought that PSG were going to come out at us, be very aggressive, very quick, use that attacking prowess that we thought they had. And also, like you, I actually thought when I saw the team sheet, there might have been a possibility that Reece James makes a back five as opposed to being in midfield. And then you get the wingers bombing on as wing backs. You have Cole Palmer in a more central position, then potentially Pedro Neto in behind a João Pedro. So, what I like about Enzo Maresca is he sets up a team in a way which is very difficult to predict. And I think we've seen that with the various games that we've played in the Club World Cup. And we saw that especially in the first 10 minutes. Because you know what it's like. After the first 10 minutes, Enrique can see the way that the team is setting up and go, do you know what? I want to change something here. I want to move a player around. These boys aren't playing in the way that I thought they would, and so we need to combat that with our own tactics. And I think by that first drinks break, they would have had to have changed things, wouldn't they? Because the way that Reece James was effectively like one of the double pivots and an anchor, allowed so many other players, as you say, to get into better positions and allow them to unlock themselves.
Well, within 10 minutes, we nearly opened the scoring.
Yeah.
It's Cole Palmer with a near-on identical effort to the goals that he scored. Obviously, this time just a little bit higher, and maybe that's what incentivized him to drill them low as the game went on.
By the way, on that, the potential assist from that goal or lack thereof. By the way, when I was watching it, I thought that went into the back of the net. The way that it was an optical illusion.
A lot of fans in the stadium did do.
Yeah, and I think the commentators did as well, actually. But that all came from a wonderful touch by João Pedro, and a touch in which I don't want to be too negative about other players right now. I don't know if Nicholas Jackson makes that touch. Do you know, like, don't want to make this a Nicholas Jackson thing, but João Pedro's thought there. And also, what I love is that there's already a bit of a link up, isn't there, between those two?
Now, do you know what's interesting, right? And we'll get onto this because I want to quickly talk through the match. Most of you guys would have seen the match, so it's very, very interesting. But we speak about Reece James's position there, right? Now, Reece James coming over onto that right-hand side of midfield meant that Cole Palmer could play on that right wing, and as long as we were sensible with it and we didn't leave wide, gaping gaps, right, Malo Gusto can offer that overlap run, right? And PSG have to make a decision. Do you go with him or do you leave him there? Now, if you leave him there, you can say what you want about Malo Gusto, right? You can say what you want about his performances this season in a system that hasn't really fitted him. He's got very good delivery into the box, in my opinion. If you leave him there, you run the risk of that ball going into the box. However, if you go with him, that's one less man to go with Cole Palmer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then having Reece there means that Reece is probably the furthest back out of those three in terms of Cole Palmer, Malo Gusto, Reece James on that right-hand side. So Reece James can naturally drop back into that right-back position anyway, as and when that happens. And obviously, he is the most mature and probably can read the game the best out of those three players, possibly.
Can we also
so that means that is one of the things that works so well for Cole Palmer, being on the right-hand side in this game.
Can we just give a moment for Enzo Maresca to give him some flowers here? Because I think what a lot of people questioned is his ability to actually set up a team tactically, as you were saying in terms of, you know, chatting to your mates that were Leicester fans. Like, was there a plan B, but also is there tactical setups in between games that are within the same structure but are slightly tweaked? And I think what we've seen through the course of this tournament, and I think he said openly that I'm experimenting in this tournament, I'm going to try different things out. But what we've seen is that he can make small, subtle changes that make a huge difference in big games.
Well, here's my conclusion on it, right? Either one of two things, and it can only be one of two things. Everyone that told me anything about Maresca before the start of the season was wrong, right? Or Maresca has... He's just taken off. He's just absolutely taken off. Yeah. Because the things I was getting told about Maresca were just not... there were times when I started to believe them. Me too. In terms of like, oh, yeah, you're not that adaptable. Oh, okay, you haven't got that backup plan. But actually, then when I look at it and I'm like, well, no, hold on. Have a look at the work Maresca's done. Once it's mattered, being one thing. Once he's been able to actually get his hands on the team, being another thing, i.e. recruitment, we're looking at how well João Pedro has slotted in straight away to this lineup, you know. And even in terms of like academy players that Maresca's brought in that maybe Pochettino didn't use as much and stuff like that, I think that Maresca's been absolutely brilliant. Now, 21 minutes into the game, right, we see some of the goalkeeping that we were promised from Robert Sanchez, which was playing out from the back, right? Robert Sanchez starts an attack and shows the ability to start an attack from the back straight away when he puts that ball out wide to the right wing as PSG are attacking us, and he puts it to Malo Gusto. Now, Malo Gusto is up against Nuno Mendes. Gusto gets the better of that one, doesn't he?
By the way, everyone before the game was saying to me that Nuno Mendes was the best left back they've ever seen, and that he's way better than Cucurella. I think he looks fucking part time compared to Cucurella.
Well, he doesn't have a winner's medal like Cucurella. No. So You be the judge.
Does he have a European Championship medal like Cucurella does?
He doesn't. He doesn't. Does he have a Conference League winners medal like Cucurella does?
No.
Don't
think he does.
No. Does he have hair as good as Cucurella does?
Definitely not as good hair.
No.
Definitely not.
No. Is Haaland terrified of him?
Haaland is not terrified of Nuno Mendes.
No. But anyway, it's not about him. Malo Gusto absolutely leaves him for dead. Leaves him on the floor. He Cruyffs it back. Malo Gusto.
Yeah.
Now, should he have took the shot on the left foot, bearing in mind that Malo Gusto hasn't really showed us anything in way of shooting yet at his Chelsea career, yet to open his account,
Joey,
I believe, for Chelsea Football Club?
It wasn't a shot, Joey. It was a 1-2.
It was a rebound.
Defender.
Rebound.
No, it was a 1-2 off the defender.
Yeah.
Intentional rebound.
He knew. He knew it'd fall to Cole Palmer. It does fall to Cole Palmer. Great left-footed finish inside the box to convert it. And the weird thing was, in that moment, obviously, Cole Palmer's obviously forgot who he is.
Why?
Because Cole Palmer, Maresca should have been on the touchline and shouted, "It's the final!
Yeah.
Don't score! It's the final!
You're shit.
Because Cole Palmer don't turn up in finals.
Yeah, he doesn't turn up in games.
He doesn't turn up in big games.
Yeah. What a ridiculous narrative this has ever even been. The fact that this even started off shows that there aren't people actually watching games. Because even in those big games where Cole Palmer wasn't getting goals and assists, he was impacting the game in a way in which other players, a la, I don't know, let's name some other classic players that people rate very highly. Phil Foden, people think he's the second coming of Christ.
Who did we nip to fourth spot in the league?
I don't even think about other teams anymore.
Wasn't it Newcastle, wasn't it?
Yeah, go on.
We nipped them to fourth spot.
Go on then.
How did Cole Palmer play against Newcastle?
I remember him playing pretty well, to be fair.
I think he put through one of the best no-look passes in Premier League history, maybe Pedro Neto, before setting up Nicholas Jackson for one of the best goals of the season. I think you'd say that. Yeah. Liverpool, when the champions came to Stamford Bridge. Liverpool. And obviously Chelsea were on a pretty bad run of form. We actually needed to salvage something that looked so unlikely for us to even qualify for Champions League football. Yeah. Let alone win a Conference League. Let alone win the FIFA Club World Cup and become the best club in world football. We just needed to salvage some Champions League qualification, whether it be fifth, whether it be get lucky somehow, I don't know. But when we were playing really, really bad, we had a very, very unfavourable run of fixtures, didn't we? We had a very hard run of fixtures. We had Newcastle in there. We had Man United in there. We had Liverpool, who were the champions, in there. Liverpool come to Stamford Bridge. How's Cole Palmer playing that game?
I remember him playing pretty well, to be fair. He got a goal, didn't he? Got a pretty good little pen in the end.
So I think he started to quash that theory that he doesn't turn up in the big games and the finals and whatever. And
obviously, even started.
Obviously that theory was formed off of the back of the finals that he had played, like, you know, the Super Cup, where he obviously didn't turn up, or he did get on the score sheet, but, you know,
don't worry about that.
Don't worry about that. Obviously, Community Shield for Man City, when he never used to really get a look in, get started in that match, scores a good goal in that game, but, you know, probably didn't really turn up. He came on as a sub for England in the Euro final. He did all he could to help drag us over the line and scores the equaliser, but he didn't even start the match, didn't really turn up in that one. Robert's Conference League final, like, you know, what, couple of assists and whatnot, and, you know, played really, really well in that game and scored in that game. He scored in the final against Robertis.
Yeah, he's still a bottler
score in the final,
but
yeah, didn't really turn up in that one. And then again, yeah, a little bit lackluster from him last night. So I think the Cole Palmer doesn't turn up in big games narrative will still be heavily pushed by Jamie Carragher and maybe Gary Neville. But yeah, apart from that, you know.
This game has exposed those pundits so immensely. Like, I think Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, I don't think anyone in the entire world would have been praying for our downfall more than them. And the £1 billion bottle job comment from Gary Neville, which is a particular favourite of mine and one that I really, really love that he even mentioned, to be fair, has never become more apt for his own club as opposed to Chelsea in a million years. It is so hilarious that these guys get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds to be experts on football, and yet they are so immensely biased and clueless. I cannot fathom how they still get paid from Sky. And ultimately, Sky will have to move on for them because they just have no knowledge. Like, you can't just keep chatting shit left, right, and centre, and expect to be called a pundit. Ultimately, they denigrate YouTubers left, right, and centre. But those YouTubers are outshining them in so many different ways right now.
So just quickly, and this is off the top of my head, I wish I had been able to prep on this, but just quickly, the youngest squad in Premier League history,
Correct.
I believe. Yeah,
Correct.
in Premier League history.
Yeah. And by the way, Joey, it's just got younger because we just
Okay.
sold Bettinelli. We're about to sell all of our old players, Chilwell, etc. So next season it'll be even
We'll break that
younger than
record again next
Yeah.
season. Youngest squad in Premier League history.
Yeah.
Fresh off the back of winning the Europa Conference League, obviously qualifying for the Club World Cup, beating PSG, one of the most impressive Champions League winners in recent times, by the way. And not a PSG that, on form or anything like that. They started literally the same team they started as in the Champions League final. We just went and battered them in a final, right? We also battered Jamie Carragher's Liverpool side that he loves so much, even though he grew up an Everton fan as a child. Would you call that a young, exciting team?
I think so.
I think you'd call that a young, exciting team. I think you would.
Yeah.
Chelsea Football Club. Yeah. Yeah.
you would.
Yeah, I think you would. Less than 10 minutes after his first goal, by the way, Cole Palmer, I was about to say after Levi Colwell cuts out the ball and dinks it over the top to him, beats 2 or 3 men. But to say he beats them would suggest there was a contest.
No.
So you'd
He
more
sits
just
them
say
down.
he just sort of sits them down, just sort of glides past them as if they weren't there, and then once again just buries it into that bottom corner past who I believe is the best goalkeeper in world football, which says it all
Certainly the
about
highest paid.
the shot. Yeah.
Certainly the highest paid. I think we've got to give Levi Colwell a little moment here. That pass was with his weaker foot. So Levi Colwell obviously didn't play in the last game, did he? The semi-final he didn't play in. Coming back into this game, looks imperious. Had a lot of people questioning how good he actually was. Clean sheet against PSG, as you say, one of the best attacks in the world right now. So I just want to give him a little moment. A wonderful pass. But then, Cole Palmer does a lot of the work. And still, by the way, I don't know how he manages to make these finishes look as simple as they are. He passes it into the back of the net in a way which I could only dream to pass the ball into the back of the net.
But it's who it's against.
I know.
Mate. It's against Donnarumma.
I know.
It's against Donnarumma. Like, mate, there's been some links of Chelsea to him. Oh, my God. Like, I don't even want to speak about him in this video because it's too disrespectful to a man that we need to speak about in a minute. But don't worry about that. On 32 minutes, Cole Palmer carries the ball forward again, right? Best part of 50 metres or something like that. Everyone's just terrified to go towards him. It's not that there isn't anyone that's in distance that can challenge him. They're just fucking terrified to go towards him. What's he do? He squeezes the ball through to João Pedro, who makes such a clever run, right? And when he makes that run, there is so much already disrespect for that goal that João Pedro scores there. Because not only is it the tightest of angles, you have just done something that audacious against, as I say, for my money, the best goalkeeper in world football. To just lift it over him like that. Treat him as if he's not there. Empty net. It's ridiculous.
Massive goalkeeper as well, by the way. So you've got Donnarumma filling up the near post. He's absolutely ginormous. He could easily get up to get that ball. But it's the way that João Pedro uses his eyes, uses his body movement. You think he's shaping potentially to go far post. And then he does the dink. And mate, honestly, I have to apologise to João Pedro. Not because I've said anything bad about him. I just didn't see how good he actually was. I didn't know that João Pedro had this ability in his locker. A boy that's just come off a beach. A guy that was playing for Brighton 3 weeks ago. He kept himself fit. He got ready for this tournament. Fair play to him for seeing that there's a potential move coming in and he could be playing for Chelsea. And not only has he been able to make up the numbers, because when he came in, I think you and I both would feel the same about this. We'd expect him to be pushed into the team slowly, might come off the bench here and there. He hasn't just made up the numbers. He's started and looked absolutely brilliant. Like, again, not like he's making his way into form, like he hasn't stopped playing, like last game of the season.
He didn't even become eligible
Yeah.
until the second knockout game.
Yeah.
And he's got a claim for player of the tournament.
Yeah, which is crazy.
And he came
not
off
just a claim.
a beach.
Yeah.
And you just said there about the step up, the step up coming from Brighton, right? Mate, what you ignored was the step up from Watford to Brighton. Because you look at the step up from Watford to Brighton and you just think like, oh, yeah, well, course. Like whatever. I can give you an example. Very, 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 very close to home example there, right? Watford. Wasn't that who Will Hughes played for?
Yes.
Or was it Derby that he played for?
I think he came from Derby, but then he definitely played for Watford as well.
I think he played for Watford, right?
Yeah.
And obviously now carving out a successful career at Crystal Palace. Is Will Hughes still at Crystal Palace?
He is, and I think they're about to re-sign him.
I believe he is, and I believe they're about to re-sign him. But I remember years ago, right, Will Hughes was like a wonder kid, wasn't he? He was an absolute wonder kid, and he was a baller at championship level, right? Similarities there between himself and João Pedro, obviously completely different positions. I understand that, right? And I'm not saying he ain't stepped up to it at Crystal Palace, but he ain't stepped up to it and then had a Chelsea, an Arsenal, a Liverpool, a City, or someone like that looking to go and sign him, right? So João Pedro's not only stepped up to that plate, he stepped up to it enough that he's interested top clubs, and there was other top clubs that were going after him. Newcastle really wanted him too, right? So now to come in with the class. You know, he, as good as Brighton are, there's a very big difference between the calibre of player that you're going to have feeding you a ball at Brighton than you are at Chelsea. And much like Caicedo, much like Cucurella, I think that he's just going to level up. And not only that, not only to be Chelsea biased, much like McAllister at Liverpool.
Yeah, you've got to give Brighton a bit of their flowers here as well and say that they are elite at unearthing talent. I mean, there are so many players that are still in that squad that will end up going to huge teams. Like, look at Baleba. They've got so many. Like, even Verbruggen in goal, even Van Hecker at the back, they'll all be playing for big teams.
You know what's really funny about Baleba? He came in, I'd never heard of him, and I remember saying, sure, I went, he'd be worth 100 million, this kid. Because I see, isn't he Ecuadorian as well, or South American?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember saying straight away, I was like, he'd be worth 100 million at some point, this kid. Never seen him touch a ball, just Baleba. Just saw that, thought, yeah, Baleba, 100 million name that is. So either way, second half, listen, play really well, in my opinion. Limit PSG to the chances that they had. Never really came all that close. The game wasn't anywhere near as close as I anticipated it being. I thought it'd be a tight affair. I thought we might have to rely on the woodwork, and I thought that we might have way less possession. We will get into that because we did, and I actually thought we'd have way less shots, which we didn't. But the second half, just a very professional performance from us. And one thing I do want to give credit to is Enzo Fernandez, who's such an important player for us. He keeps that game ticking over so well and does so much more than just that. He comes off 70 odd minutes on, right? You got Romeo Lavia on the bench. Romeo Lavia has been an important player for Chelsea Football Club so far this season, and when he's played, most fans would argue they have not seen him step foot on a pitch for Chelsea Football Club and have a bad game. Romeo Lavia is left on the bench. Andre Santos gets brought on in that moment. Very, very interesting, and something that could potentially give us a slight look into the future in terms of in-game management when it comes to next season and the personnel that's going to be used there and that's going to be there. Because for me and you right now, right, I think we're both in agreement that Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo are the two that we want to see in that midfield. But whether there's, you know, the likes of Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and Ugachukwu, other players out on loan, I think it's very clear for me and you that we want the third and fourth out of those four that we need there really for those positions to be Romeo Lavia and Andre Santos. So just how good was it knowing that Romeo Lavia's already had his chance to prove himself and he's done so amazingly so far this season? Just how good was it to see that 20-minute cameo from Andre Santos?
Well, more than anything, it quells some fear and some anxiety, doesn't it, amongst Chelsea fans about whether this guy will end up staying with Chelsea. And I think to Andre Santos' credit, I think he's quelled those rumours as well. I think he's come out and said, I'm really excited to be playing for Chelsea.
He's a huge queller.
Yeah, he's an absolute queller. And what I loved about him the most is not just his performances and how good he was on the ball, but also the way that he celebrated every single tackle that he was making in the last 10 minutes or so, like he had just scored a goal.
Yeah.
And I see a mentality in Andre Santos that will propel him to the very, very top. And I think now he will be pushing Enzo 4 minutes. And what a beautiful position to be in, where we've got one of the best midfielders in the world that is absolutely wanted by the biggest and best clubs in the world as well, by the way. So, you know, Real Madrid will absolutely be looking at Enzo Fernandez and be desperate to bring him in. Not only do we have that and his ability on the pitch, and also his leadership ability, which I think this week has come out saying that he sees himself as a captain even if he's not wearing the armband, which is beautiful to see. Then obviously you have Andre Santos underneath that, who is going to be a Brazil captain. I honestly
Thank
do
God
see
for
that.
South America, eh?
Thank God for South America.
Look at our
We've
team,
got some
mate.
legends. Do you remember-
Caicedo,
I know.
Enzo,
I know.
Andre Santos, Esteval coming in.
Who
like,
would have thought that we would end up with that? Like for years in the 2000s and like late 90s, we were saying we'd love to have some of these wonderful Brazilian players that were going to Barcelona and Real Madrid, and now we're getting those wonder kids. Like we're doing what every football
years
manager
we
player
didn't.
wants to be doing. To be fair, I love it. I love it. It's so exciting to get that South American excitement, and also remember. We're still waiting for Esteval to come in.
there you go.
And he's going to be dominating on the right-hand
There
side
you
as
go.
well. It's so
And
exciting.
we've also seen now that we can play in different systems because you saw when Delap came on, the system changed up a little bit and we still had success in doing so. Delap tested Donnarumma, good shot, probably a perfect height for Donnarumma with that one, but once again, good for Delap to get a shot off. And then João Mendes gets sent off for a hair pull.
João Neves.
João Neves. João Neves
yeah.
gets sent off for a... It's too hard to keep up with this. I named João Pedro on both wings.
Yeah. I called Luis Enrique Jose Enrique during the stream last night.
Would you dance if I asked you to dance? He probably doesn't feel like dancing. Luis Enrique
He does not.
This morning.
Fucking João Pedro felt like dancing. Did you see
There
that
you
celebration?
go.
That was fucking beautiful.
Just quickly on the hair pull on Cucurella.
Yeah, disgrace.
Do we need to go into this too much? Like we've done it time in, time out this season. You do not touch his hair. You touch his hair, you go. Okay? Don't do it.
The PSG boys, and we'll talk about this in more detail in a second, but they were completely rattled. I don't know what it was about the way that the game went. I don't know whether Enrique at half time got into them and just said, you've got to sort this out. It's a disgrace to the scoreline and you should be ashamed of yourselves and get angry, because they come out for the second half and they are putting in horrendous challenges. We saw Barcola do a ridiculous challenge. There were a few challenges that could have been red cards themselves, to be fair. I think it was Nuno Mendes as well that did a really, really shit challenge. And I think what's clear is that João Neves completely lost his head. And to be fair, there was a bit of a coming together where Cucurella initiated it, and he's doing it from a physicality perspective, which I love. And he just pulls his hair. Stupid. Obvious red card. Immediately goes to VAR. He was only looking at it for about 3 seconds and he knew it was a red card. And to be fair to him, João Neves ran off the pitch straight away because he knew he was banged to rights.
Pathetic.
Dumbo. Idiot.
Pathetic.
Total moron.
Speaking of people that are a little bit pathetic, now, once upon a time, we entertained the prospect of Luis Enrique coming to Chelsea Football Club. Yeah. He was a manager that... When there was because I think more so than a lot of these names, we've mentioned Ancelotti and like, not that either me or you ever thought that this was a possibility, but we've mentioned like Zidane and all these names and whatever. But like Flick we've mentioned, but it kind of feels like the fella's name's just escaped my head. Nagelsmann. Skateboard guy, right? Nagelsmann and Luis Enrique were the only two what were regarded as like top managers at the time that we were linked with. That I thought, there's a chance we could get him here, and I'm on about since Roman Abramovich going, right? Yep. I believed that with Luis Enrique, when the rumours were persisting that he could be coming to Chelsea, I believed it was a bit of a risk, because I looked at what he had done at Barcelona and I said, do you know what though? Like, I just kind of think that anyone can go in at Barcelona and do that. Like, I don't think you need to be that good at Barcelona to do that. And again, there's a part of me that's right and there's always a part of me that's wrong and whatnot. And Luis Enrique very quickly showed with a domestic treble in his first season at PSG that, okay, maybe I was wrong to doubt him a little bit. At the same time, you know what I'm always going to say. French League.
Yeah.
Not bothered about the French League.
Yeah.
Domestic treble doesn't mean that.
as much.
Don't mean that much to me. Yeah. Don't mean that much to me. But then he goes and does another treble this season. That treble includes a European trophy, right? So then that really solidifies himself as a top manager. And is there any way you can win a European trophy without being a top manager?
No, I don't think so.
I think there is one way.
Roberto Di Matteo would disagree.
Hey?
Roberto Di Matteo would disagree.
Top manager.
Yeah.
I think there is one way.
Come on.
Well, I suppose you could probably win that European trophy if that European trophy didn't have, I don't know, say Chelsea in it.
Oh, you're saying because we weren't in it, it doesn't even count.
What happened last night? It got slapped up.
There you go. So
What
basically,
would have happened?
So basically, by the way, are you saying that we should be given the Champions League trophy?
I'm
as well?
saying we are basically the Champions League holders
Now.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It was effectively a playoff
third.
for it.
It's an unofficial third Champions
Yeah.
League. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you
Take
go.
it.
There you go.
Take
but
it.
speaking of Luis Enrique,
Yeah.
he really did lose his shit last night, didn't he, my
I
friend?
thought Luis Enrique, the way that I look at him and respect him is
Pathetic.
that no.
Silly little man?
No,
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 joking.
no, no.
Go on.
Before this game,
Yeah.
I actually
Looks
thought
like
he
a
was,
school teacher,
I actually
science
thought
teacher.
he was class. I thought he was a really able communicator. I thought he was able to keep his head. I thought he was a very good tactician. And after last night, I lost a fair bit of respect for him. I thought it was a very classless way to lose a final and to go over, which we're going to talk about this now, the João Pedro moment. He goes over after the game. Bearing in mind, the end of the game was fiery and that there was a potential for a touch point at the final whistle. Donnarumma was going over. He wasn't happy with the result as well. There were
I wouldn't be happy if I conceded 3 goals.
and in the way that he
Don't
conceded
take it
them as
personal.
well.
We still want to sign you.
Yeah. We're not going to sign him, but we'll get onto that in a second. But for the manager to get involved in that scuffle, but not only to get involved in it, because obviously what he was saying after that, which was a load of bollocks, by the way, he said this in the press conference. He said, I was just there to break it up. I was there to dispel any.
Oh, so he never threw a slap in there, did he?
No. So first of all, he grabs João Pedro by the neck, which is just ridiculous. And then he tries to throw a punch. Unlike Joey Knight, he's not very able with his hands. He can't throw down hands, and he actually misses the punch. But thank God he did miss the punch, because he would be on a even huger ban than he's about to get. Because Enrique is about to get the book thrown at him.
And the
He's about to
sign
get
of a
fucked.
weasel, when you missed the punch, you ran like a bitch. Is what you did, yeah? You didn't follow up. If I miss a punch, I'm following up with a second, yeah? You ran away. Now, you're about to get the book thrown at you. I don't care, right? I'm not a do-gooder. I don't care what sort of punishment Luis Enrique
I
gets.
care.
I don't care. But can I ask you one question? Give me a rough estimation of what the punishment is.
I would say a 5 to 6 European game ban.
European game ban from the touchline. How many game ban would João Pedro have got if the roles were reversed?
Huge.
If João
Huge.
Pedro had tried to
I
slap
know.
Luis Enrique and had tried to throttle him by the throat,
Yeah.
how many games ban would he have got?
Easily 10.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah, it would have been a serious ban, wouldn't it?
Double
It is-
standards?
It is, but the fact that also UEFA haven't come out immediately and condemned this is embarrassing. And by the way, sorry, I should say FIFA because it's not UEFA.
Yeah, it's
but
FIFA.
they should immediately have come out and just said this was totally wrong, and also he will be punished.
Yeah.
I think it was a disgrace.
But just to remind everyone, once again, no one's taking this tournament seriously.
no one's taking it seriously.
No one
cares about it.
No one cares about it.
No.
Luis Enrique don't care about it.
No.
He wasn't trying to throttle João Pedro at the final whistle. No one cares about it.
To be honest with you, I couldn't believe how angry the PSG players were.
Let's speak about a man that we couldn't believe a lot about last night. There was something I said in my match preview, and I said that not only will he need to be flawless, Robert Sanchez will need to have the best performance he's ever had for Chelsea Football Club. Was that the best performance you've ever seen from Robert Sanchez for Chelsea Football Club?
I mean, he made 3 or 4 fantastic saves. The one that particularly sticks in my mind is the one that he went down to his bottom left-hand side, strong left hand, which is not an easy save to make. And it wasn't just the saves, was it either? As you said earlier on, it was the distribution, the balls over the top. And with the space that PSG were allowing in that, it was more of a basketball match. It was transitional. So there was space in behind. What Robert Sanchez actually did was the long passes that we expected him to do from the first moment he came to Chelsea. And he found players on the wing and he actually started attacks.
Not just the wing. Not just the wing. João Pedro dropping deep centre forward straight through the lines. There was balls out. The judgment from Robert Sanchez was really, really good. 6 actual saves. Obviously, as you say, 2 or 3 of them worldy saves. That judgment when it comes to knowing when to stay and when to go. There was moments when he stayed on his line when I thought it was the right decision. Say, for example, when Trevor Chalobah gets back and makes that last-ditch challenge in the first half.
And the Cucurella one as well.
The Cucurella one as well stays, but there's also ones when he comes, when the ball comes over the top and he does come off his line and he rushes out to them. I thought that his judgment to be able to nip any half chance that PSG were presented in the bud last night was absolutely phenomenal, and it has to bring us on to the question, doesn't it?
It's a very important question.
Game enough to save your career?
Is it just one game though? Is it just this match as opposed to how he's been playing in the whole of the Club World Cup?
Well, no, forget the Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Just give me the last bad performance from Robert Sanchez.
I'm struggling to think of one. Do you know one off the top of your head?
So for me, it would be around February time.
Yeah.
And we're now in?
July, for fuck's sake.
We're now in July.
Yeah.
We're now midway through July. And I'm going back February time for the last bad performance from Robert Sanchez. However, that being said, I do think that we can still level up there. So can I give a bit of a cross reference and maybe a bit of an analogy here?
Come on.
Postecoglou.
Okay, I don't know how you're going to connect these things, but let's go for it.
Don't you... I mean, time will be the best storyteller with things, but do you think that Postecoglou deserved to get the sack? Despite bringing a 17-year end drought for a trophy to an end, do you think that Spurs are probably set up to do better next season without Postecoglou there now?
Yes. I mean, after, what was it, 16th place? Yeah.
But
Easy.
it was brilliant that he went out on that high for him,
It was
wasn't
lovely.
it? And it means that he will probably walk into quite a big job now.
Yeah. And be remembered very fondly.
Yeah.
As well.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. I just think that the progression over in the league, a 38-game season, but the chances are we're going to play the best part of over 60 matches next season, maybe, right? I still have my reservations. I still think that a top-class goalkeeper is not what Robert Sanchez is. But a top-class performance is exactly what we saw from him last night. And I've got to give him immense credit. And I think we owe a huge portion of winning that final last night. Much like we did Peter Cech all those years ago in Munich, we owe a huge portion of it to Robert Sanchez's contribution.
And also, we owe him, to a degree, a bit of an apology in the way that we have questioned his ability. I mean, I was certainly one of the people saying that I wanted Jorgensen to be the out-and-out number one goalkeeper, and I put my hands up now and say that Sanchez has absolutely proven and eclipsed him. There was a beautiful moment, by the way, wasn't there, where Jorgensen runs up to Sanchez after the game and gives him a big hug, which I really appreciated, and shows the togetherness of this squad, really. Now, my only caveat to what you just said, because I do agree, I think they will be looking at other goalkeepers, is that Robert Sanchez is proven that he is an able goalkeeper. They might look at the goalkeeper situation now as the last priority in terms of what we actually need to do now until the end of the summer. I think they'll be looking at the Cucurella left back up. They might potentially be looking at a centre back. And then I think the goalkeeper, if it's still an important issue that they feel they need to raise, that's when they might be looking at it at the end of the window. Now, the only thing that we do need to consider with Robert Sanchez is he is a homegrown goalkeeper. He classes as a homegrown goalkeeper.
Homegrown, yeah.
And so for all of the squads and for everything like that, may or may not be important, but it certainly is going to be a tick in his, in his box. So I do think after that performance, bearing in mind Todd Burley, Bedo Bali, the director of football, were all there last night, I think he may end up staying potentially. And the question then is, does he stay as a potential backup? As or fighting out as the number one, or does then he feel that he wants to go and leave and play as a number one elsewhere?
I think he has the spirit to fight it out, and he's already shown that. And he's shown that, and he's won back his place and whatnot over Petrovic. Someone claimed he didn't win it back, but it would show, on appearances last season, he did win it back. And at times against Philip Jorgensen. So I think he's shown that character. However, I think at his age, he's at... the part of his career he's going to want to go and be a number one. Now, another player you mentioned there, you said that it might be an area that we look to address in terms of backup for Cucurella. Malo Gusto last night had a fantastic game, especially in comparison to how he's played this season. Again, systematically, I think it shows the adaptability and versatility of Enzo Maresca as a coach in terms of how he set us up. But Malo Gusto played really well last night. Does that warrant his place at the club next season? Because there was question marks over it. And as much as I think that Reece James and Joshua Changpong are the naturals there in that right-back position, there is an argument there that you can have Reece James in midfield as you did last night and have Malo Gusto there, and it works, which it did last night against the top team. And there's also an argument there that he can be back up to Cucurella at left-back, and that might be a position that we don't need to now go out into, and we can focus our attentions on other areas. So do you think that game last night affected Malo Gusto's future at Chelsea Football Club?
Well, there are rumours, aren't there, that Bayern Munich are very interested in signing him. I think it will all come down to the transfer fee. Because if Bayern really do want him, or another club want him, and they're happy to put down, a 40, 50 million pound bid, I would want it to be higher up, to be fair, in that range. If they do that, then I think the club will consider the potential transfer. Because quite frankly, I think the club would see that and think they could bring in another player of similar quality for less money potentially.
Yeah, and when you look at what we're now seeing is, for the most part, don't get me wrong, in terms of like really, really talented players. Say, for example, we bought Cole Palmer in for 45 million. We're not going to move him on for 65. But what you're seeing, for the most part, if a player falls into the Madueke / Gusto / Jackson bracket, which is, we'll use them, really useful, really helpful, good players, but they're not the spine of our team. The asking price is around a 20 mil profit, isn't it? In terms of our investment. Yep. So do you think that if there was that opportunity to make around a 20 to 25 mil profit on Gusto, we'd take that?
I think, bearing in mind the inability for Reece James to consistently be fit now, I think Reece James has actually proved a lot of those rumours wrong. I think he's more often than not now been fit in recent times. Missed a game recently, but I think that was precautionary as opposed to an injury. You do have to say you need a really strong right-back option to deputise for Reece James. And especially if we don't sign another player on the left-hand side, you're totally right. Gusto is the deputy for that area as well. So we absolutely need to keep him if they don't sign other players, if they don't sign another left-back. And then they've also got to rely on Joshua Changpong, which, unfortunately to say for him, hasn't really even featured in the Club World Cup, which I was very, very disappointed by. And I do think what will end up happening at the end of this window...
Can you be? Sorry to interrupt you. Can you be disappointed?
That he hasn't featured?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you're being a bit... Can I tell you what you're being?
Greedy?
You're being a bit of a sport brat, aren't you? How can you be disappointed about anything?
Well, I'm disappointed from Joshua Changpong's perspective because we know how good he is. And Enzo Maresca does interviews at the tail end of last season and says he's the perfect player and he can't wait to see him featuring more. And yet he doesn't even get any game time in this. So the only reason why I'm saying I'm disappointed is I want Joshua Changpong to be involved in the team. I very much don't want him to get sold. And what I worry about is that if he does go on loan again this season, whether then that's a pathway. What we've seen with a lot of the loans is rather than them being a pathway into the first team, they're more often than not a pathway to be sold. So
Shea Humphreys being a case in point.
And there's loads of other examples.
Yeah.
So I think for Joshua Changpong, my advice to him now would be, if Gusto stays, take that Palace loan and go and enjoy yourself and play in a very, very good team and progress your career. If Gusto does go, then obviously we need to keep Josh Changpong. But I have to put my hands up and say, Malo Gusto, I'm sorry to you because I was questioning his defensive ability and he's kept some of the best wingers in the world quiet, last night. And I feel he deserves his credit.
Sometimes they say it's not, the quantity, it's the quality.
Yep.
We have heard the news that Matisse Amargu is leaving.
I was gutted about that.
Absolutely gutted. Favourite top 10 Matisse Amargu moments?
Honestly, there are so many I couldn't even pick them out. Next to my Mikhailo Mudryk poster, I have got a Matisse Amargu poster.
Thanks for the memories. Really thanks.
Why didn't they just? I don't know why they don't just sign him directly to Strasbourg to start off with. Like, why the fuck does he have to come via Chelsea?
Knows. One player we won't be loaning to Strasbourg anytime too soon. Hopefully, is club captain, my hero, and a man that, I think I said this to you on the stream last night. If I caught him in bed with my missus, I would just tuck him in and ask him what he wants for breakfast, and that is Reece James. Now, Reece James, right, in his post-match interview, or one of his post-match interviews that he did, said, I hope that next season we can compete in the Premier League to win the title and go far in the Champions League and try and win that too. So Reece James, so before anyone tries to come at me and go, oh, Chelsea fans, getting ahead of yourself, there's the club captain saying it, right? There's the club captain saying it. He said, next season, we hope to compete for the Premier League. I'm telling you, that we have as good a chance as anyone, in my opinion. Now, not only that, Enzo Maresca, after the game, said that when he was interviewed for the Chelsea job, he said to them, because of the age and because of the profile of this squad, right, whether I am in charge here or not, I don't see any reason why in the next decade Chelsea don't become the dominant team in English football, right? These two, the captain and the manager, are calling it on, right? And despite the fact that you can point to times in the season when Enzo Maresca said, oh no, we're ahead of schedule and whatnot, for me, it feels like we've arrived. Does it feel like that to you?
Well, you just got to look at the form, haven't you? You were talking about this earlier on. We had to end the season in what were terrible circumstances. We were playing some of the best teams in England. We were up against it. We needed wins to be able to qualify for the Champions League. And we couldn't really make any mistakes at all if we were going to do it, right? And we went up against some of those best teams and we still made top four. I think in the last 12, 13 games, I think we've only lost once, which was twice actually, that Newcastle game, wasn't it? And then the game in the Club World Cup.
Which we threw. Flamingo,
yeah, we did that intentionally. Exactly. So the form is indicating that we're on an upwards trajectory and that we're not just going to be the top four team anymore. We're going to be challenging for the next level above that. And now with the momentum that we're taking and the confidence, because what you've just described is the confidence of a manager and the confidence of a club captain, who, in the club captain's case, has played in the biggest games with some of the best players in the entire world. So he recognises quality. I would trust Reece James's talent ID over a lot of people, right? Because he's been there and done it. So the momentum that we're going to take from this game is not just the trophy and the badge that we've got, adorning our shirts for the next 4 years. It's now the ability to say, we've beaten the European champions.
Yep.
We've beaten some of the hardest Brazilian teams that you could possibly face in a climate and a condition set that would indicate that they should be very good in the tournament. They've beaten a lot of other very good teams, Bayern Munich losing to Brazilian teams, etc.
And just to go back to the point on the European champions there, not any European champions, and I'm not downplaying this, this is a show of how impressive it is, but not a Real Madrid who are just expected to go there every season. One of the teams that have won the Champions League that, for my money, in the last, I'm being serious, I'm not overplaying this, I'm saying in the last 15 to 20 years, one of the teams that have received the most plaudits for winning a Champions League trophy in PSG.
So true. And also, you've got to remember, semi-final, they make Real Madrid, who are meant to be the best team in the entire world, who are the team of Galacticos, people run down their contracts so that they can go and sign there. They made them look like a schoolboy team. They played them off the park. That was a nothing game. And then we go off the back of that, and they say that was the final. Real Madrid, PSG were the final. And we've just made them look as silly as we've made them look. So the expectations have now altered, haven't they? Because I think I don't know, maybe I'm speaking for you here, but we go into next season and we say, compete again for the top four, try and get another domestic trophy potentially, and do as well as we possibly can in the Champions League. I think that was the next logical step up from where we've just been. Bearing in mind, you can't just be title challengers.
I personally think the next logical step up from where we've just been is to take points off those above us.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not on about where we are in the league at that time. So I'm not on about if we were sat, fifth in the league and we played Newcastle and they were fourth in the league and we beat them well.
No, the best
you know who I'm on about. I'm on about Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool. I think that the next step in the progression of this team is you take points off them above us. We went 2 seasons without taking any points off any of them, by the way, right? Yeah? Well, I say any points off them. I think we had draws with Liverpool in that time. But we went 2 seasons without being able to record a win over any of them. Now we've recorded a win over Liverpool last season. There was always the context to it where Liverpool fans will go to you, oh no, we're on the beach already. We'd already won the title or whatever. Okay, fine, whatever. Now we've done it against PSG. Now what have you got to say? You can't look at that performance last night and say that you don't feel that Chelsea can go in there. We have got 6 opportunities next season, yeah? Those 3 teams there that I've just mentioned, we've got 6 opportunities in the league. You can't tell me that you think that we're only capable of winning one of those 6 matches. You've got to look at last night's performance and go, Chelsea can win half those matches. Yeah. Chelsea can win 3 or 4 of those games there. And if we do, then fuck, being right up there, we're going to be the ones that are competing with those teams.
But this is the thing. This is what I mean about expectations now changing. I think even after last night, especially with the Reece James comments, they do now want to be challenging for titles. And we expect now to be right up there at the top of the league and going from 60 goals a season to 90 goals a season or near enough that. And if we're up there and scoring that many goals, then we should be challenging for titles. And it's not just the Premier League. It's then, bearing in mind we crashed out very early in domestic competitions. We don't want to be doing that. Again, we want to be going deep into those competitions. And then also, why can we not be considered up there in terms of the favourites now for the Champions League? We're just beating the European champions. So we want to be going into the Champions League and wanting to win that as well. So this, obviously it takes confidence, and obviously we all now as Chelsea fans believe that we can go and achieve something great in next season. And it's less so the next 5 years as the journey, and it's more so the next year, next 2 years where we expect to be winning things. But what I now think as well is we do need to make sure that squad is strong and built, because it's going to be a long old season and 60 games are going to be tough. And quite frankly, we're not going to have a Conference League to rest players. We've now got to every game twice a week. We've now got to be playing at our very best to be challenging, because that's what we expect. But with the squad that they're assembling, you could see that being the case.
Now, quickly, just to finish it off, Cole Palmer given Player of the Tournament by Donald Trump himself. Cole Palmer, listen, that's the second final this season that he has absolutely tore it up in. This time, it's not Real Betis, it's PSG, right? I can see why big players in big moments are always going to be the ones that get the accolades. And because of that, I'm not going to ask you the question of whether or not you think Cole Palmer on the tournament as a whole deserved it, or whether you thought that was just a man of the match performance or whatnot. But we agree, Cole Palmer, player of the tournament, that's fine. We're not even going to debate it. But can we give some honourable mentions?
I'd love to.
Can we give some honourable mentions?
Yeah.
I'm going to go straight away with the most obvious one there and just say Moises Caicedo, phenomenal. And the fact that he was a doubt for the final, the fact that there were probably 3-4 games in this tournament where Caicedo was at about 60%, 50% and still played to the level that he played to and performed to the level he performed to is commendable, at least. And we wouldn't have been here without Moises Caicedo. But I do believe there are probably another 2 players, along with Cole Palmer, that you can say that about, maybe even more. So anyone else you want to give an honourable mention to?
I would love, first of all, to give an honourable mention to Marc Cucurella. Because I do think he is one of those players playing at left back that would never get any plaudits or credit. But just even in the final, the way that he positions his body to make that block where Doué on the right-hand side crosses it in and really should have been a tap-in for the player behind him. Marc Cucurella is so calm, so cool, so good in every single game, much like Caicedo, underrated in terms of his performances.
Goal line clearance in the semi-final, by the way, as well.
Yes, again, really, really good movement from him there. And a player that never gets any plaudits, and I feel like he absolutely deserves it. What a year, 12 months that he's had, by the way. If you include the European tournament in there as well.
By the way, just quickly, there's one thing I hate to do, and that is to throw the sort of mainstream media pundits under the bus.
Yeah,
I hate
We never do it. We never do it,
and
we find it unfair.
And I hate doing it. But when you mention Marc Cucurella, obviously one of the reasons that Gary Neville, for example, just the first mainstream media pundit that comes into my head, one of the reasons that Gary Neville felt that Spain wouldn't be able to go and win the Euros was because obviously they had Marc Cucurella at left back, and in Gary Neville's words, I think most of us would agree that that's their weak point. Yeah? I don't know how much of Gary Neville or of Marc Cucurella that Gary Neville would watch.
Do they actually watch the football? Do they actually watch games?
You tell me.
Because they obviously don't. Because if they started watching Chelsea, I don't know why they've got this allergic reaction to watching Chelsea, Carragher and Neville. Because if they actually watch this, they see that Caicedo is the best DM in the league, and Marc Cucurella is the best left back.
Yeah. But
simple.
despite that, despite winning the Club World Cup, in the words of Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville, not a young, exciting team, not a young, ambitious project that players should want to sign for. Players should actually stop signing for Chelsea, and players' agents should stop telling them to sign for Chelsea. By the way, players only sign for Chelsea because their agents get a big fee. That's all players care about, is their agents getting a big fee. They don't care about their actual careers that they actually have to play and navigate. They just care about their agents getting big fees. And obviously, Gary Neville was for him. He said that Marc Cucurella was probably Spain's weak point and why they wouldn't win the Euro. So it is what it is. Listen, these mainstream media pundits, they definitely know what they're talking about. Does winning the tournament make our season next season harder? Because obviously we've had less of a pre-season than these other teams. Liverpool played their first pre-season game yesterday and we haven't even finished last season. So does it make things harder?
I think it won't be immediately more difficult. I think we'll start to see the impacts of this tournament in December and over Christmas.
Good job. We've got a nice little kitty for it then. We'll go and break some FFP rules in January, find some loopholes
Sell some car
for that.
parks.
Yeah, sell some car parks.
Yeah.
Some jobs are good and bring in some fresh legs.
We really have become the most hated team in the league. And I do welcome that with love. I'm enjoying being in this spot right now. Everyone hates us.
We became it 20 years ago, mate. Don't worry about that.
No, it's happened again, boys. Yeah. It's absolutely happened again. They are so angry about it. But yeah, mate, we I think all in all, it was $140 million that we made from this tournament. So mad. If you think about our transfer spending, it's paid for 3 of our players easily. Which is mad to say.
Just quickly, silverware for the season. Man City?
0. Yeah.
Oh.
Not good, eh?
Man
United?
Arsenal?
0.
Fucking hell.
That's not good, is it?
No. Man United?
Man United nearly got relegated, mate.
Okay. This isn't going how I wanted it, for fuck's sake.
It's not good, is it?
Liverpool, how many bits silverware?
Liverpool won the league, to be fair.
They won the league. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So how many bits silverware?
1.
Yeah. Okay.
Spurs won.
Spurs won a bit of silverware.
Yeah. Palace.
Yeah. 1 bit. Yeah.
Palace got
one bit. Yeah.
Chelsea.
How many bits silverware did Chelsea win this season?
Let me count it. So Conference League final.
Yep.
That was 1. And then Champions of the World. That's 2.
Yeah.
That's 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Average season though.
Liverpool, what? Champions of England?
Champions of England, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure the world has a bigger population than England. I'm not sure I have to check that one. Either way, you lot let us know your thoughts on last night's game. And where are the measuring sticks now? What are we going on? Are Chelsea title contenders for the 25-26 Premier League season? Spoiler alert, the answer is yes. People, we will see you all in the next one.